welcome to the newest episode of Just the Beginning. I want to introduce you to the flyest, smartest. Now, I'm not even being funny right now. One of the most brilliant marketing minds that I've ever seen on this planet. Kind heart. I love this woman with my whole heart. Everybody, please give a warm welcome to my homie, Simone Seol.
I just told Rashida getting on like Christmas being here with Rashida. I think I like any chance to talk to Rashida. So good. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have you here. And I told you to ask you to do this. I was a little nervous because I was like, this is like, inside of my first 10 episodes. And Simone is a badass around the world. And will she want to talk on my little thing? And you were like, yeah, duh.
Please.
I'm so excited to talk to you about, especially about allyship, because this is our jam. We talk about this at all hours because we live in different countries. Right now, you live in Seoul, Korea,
Yep.
and I live in a country. It feels like a whole different country than America, but I live in Indiana. I live in Indiana. So there's that. So we talk at all hours because we're awake at weird hours. But um when we do, we talk about one of our favorite subjects was just allyship. And I get to nerd out with you about it. And so I want to ask you,
Yep.
the first question is what I ask everybody is what does allyship mean to you? Or what does the word ally mean to you?
Well, you really taught me how to think about it differently and how to know when I'm taking action that makes good on my word.
Mm,
And when I'm not doing that. But at this point, kind of with like all Rashida's teaching, like being like the foundation of how I'm think so much of the foundation of how I've been thinking about it. Um, Allyship is treating people like you like them and respect them. Well, actually, that's not true. You don't have to like them. Like you respect their
nope.
humanity, you respect their
Mhm.
dignity as human beings.
Yeah.
Which is just a slight variation on how Rashida says it. It means the same thing. You treat other people the way you want to be treated. And it sounds I actually hate saying it because it sounds so simple and it's not. Because people are gonna
Hmm.
be like, yeah, okay. But no, 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 no. It's so profound. It's so profound. And I have to teach people how to do this in business. You know, how
Right.
to treat people, everyone in your world, as if you respect them as human beings, because the entire business world teaches you the opposite, right?
Right.
And so, as simple as it sounds, it's deeply subversive, it's deeply countercultural in a culture, in a society that's drenched with individualism and capitalism and let me get what's mine and get the fuck out. That's kind of world we live in.
Yeah.
Treating other people in your community, in your orbit, as if they are just as important as you. What if I were in their shoes?
Hmm.
It sounds so simple, but it's not. It's deeply revolutionary and it's hard to do.
Yeah.
It's hard to do like it's astrophysics, but it's hard to do in the sense that it requires you to pause and it requires you to open your heart and ask difficult questions sometimes and to sometimes choose the less efficient road, choose the less easy road, choose the more
Hmm.
emotionally risky road. And that's why it's hard sometimes.
Yeah. And it's also just like sort of the opposite of the way that we have been programmed
Yeah.
to operate in the world. I saw this I don't know, TikTok or something one time where this girl was in a class. And in that class, they had all been studying for some sort of final, a midterm or something like that, right? And the professor gave everybody the option of opting out of the the test knowing that some people had studied really hard and some people hadn't studied really hard, but everybody gets an A. You don't have to take the test,
Okay.
but everybody gets an A. But the only way that this works, the only way that he'll let it happen is if the entire class votes for it to happen.
Oh,
Right. They
yeah.
had two votes. One at the beginning of when he first said it, and then after people got to talk, and at the end. And both times, no, it was never a unanimous vote for everybody to get an A. And
Yeah, because
he,
the people who studied are like, fuck the people who didn't study. I studied, bitch. You know?
yes, and also even the people who were in the middle were like, but everybody doesn't deserve an A.
Yeah,
Everybody shouldn't get an A.
yeah.
And so she said that her professor said that he does that as an experiment with every class that he has. And he had been doing it for like 30 years, and there was not one class that unanimously voted for
Interesting.
the A. And
Yeah,
it just that clicked for me because it goes to our programming, right? It
yeah.
goes to our programming that,
Get that? Because like grades should reflect like your level of learning. Like if you,
yes,
but
for
but
sure.
yeah.
For sure. I get that because a great,
Yeah,
school is a different beast, but also saying that everybody gets
like
good.
food. Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody gets food.
Human
Everybody
rights.
gets
Yeah,
shelter.
yeah, yeah,
Everybody gets clothing,
yeah, yeah.
and there will be people who will vote against their own best interests to
Mhm.
make sure that other people don't get it.
Yeah, 100%.
And that is part of our programming. I went to the zoo. I'm sorry, one more story. I went to the zoo one time and my daughter was doing something on an aquarium with a fish. And this little boy who was like maybe a year younger than her was doing it too, but he was more efficient. So he was showing her how to do it. And his mom said, "Why are you showing her? You don't have to help her. You don't have to help her with that." And
That's
I
like literally the lowest stake thing in the actual universe.
whole world. And you don't have to help people is the programming that this boy was getting at 2, 3 years old.
It's the fear. Fear is the like I feel like this might be too strong a way to say it, but like the fear is their religion, right?
Mhm.
Like
Whether
if
they
fear,
know it or not.
yeah, exactly. If fear is the motivating force behind everything, then you have to guard what you have for dear life because you don't know when it's going to be taken away from you, who's going to take it away from you. So you have to like get yours and then hoard and protect what's yours at all costs and fuck everybody else
Yeah.
comes from fear.
Yeah. And the whole lack mentality that we've been taught, like there's not enough when that just really isn't true. And
Yeah,
that is really big in business, right? Like, especially when people are starting out or are feeling unsure in their business,
yeah.
feeling like extending themselves to allyship feels like a huge risk. Like I'm letting go of this stuff that I'm hoarding, even if there isn't really anything in there to hoard. So, why do you feel like it's important to have allyship as an integral part of business?
So my take is that allyship is actually just good business in so many ways. I
Hmm.
was just thinking this morning about the horrible, terrible, shitty. It's okay to curse, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
uh-huh.
it's just
It's my so good.
dumbest fuck advice that is given by like 99% of like business coaching out there that says if you want people to buy in your marketing, don't give away the good stuff. You want to tease at the value, but don't give them the value.
Hmm.
Bait them with glimpses of what might be in there. But if you give away the good stuff, why would they buy from you? And I was like, that's like the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and
You
it
gave away a lot of good free stuff. You have given away a lot of good
it
free stuff.
comes from scarcity. It comes from fear. And
Hmm.
here's the thing: like when not only is that bad advice because you are preventing people from developing trust with you.
Yeah.
right? Like, if you give them the good stuff right away, they're going to be like, oh, wow, this is good. I trust you because you literally just gave me something good. You don't have to jump through hoops to prove to me that you're good because I know you're good now.
Right.
So
Right.
that is trust established so much more fast. But the
Hmm.
worry that people always have is like, if they already got something good from me, why would they want to come back for more? There it is again, the distrust, right? Like if they
Hmm.
got what's theirs, then they're not gonna come back for more. It's like, but use logic. If they got something really cool from you,
Hmm.
why wouldn't if I every time I went over to your house, Rashida, you gave me a cake, why wouldn't I keep coming
Yeah.
back to your house for more cake?
Right. Exactly. No, I get
Right?
cake when I'm over there. Exactly. Yeah.
Every I'm gonna go for more cake. That's why people love me because every time people come to my world, they get cake
They
or
get
whatever.
cake. Yes.
It's it's logic, and also when people, this is the reason so much of the marketing in the world looks the same and it's all formulaic is because people are guarding the good stuff they have, and they're
Hmm.
using like it's like fishing analogies, right? People don't use like worms or like actual things that fish can eat as bait anymore. People, they use like plastic bait,
Right.
so when
Shiny stuff.
yeah, when so much of the world is like shiny pink plastic bait, and the reason that that is so is because everyone is like guarding their little worms and their real stuff with and when you are guarding what you have so tightly, it doesn't have a chance to grow.
Mm.
When you are so scared and protective of your creativity just it's like on a little leash and
Yeah.
can't grow.
It can't grow.
And so you won't have better ideas.
Yeah.
You will not
Absolutely.
evolve. And so people are always like, Simone, how do you always come up with these brilliant ideas? I'm like, because I like give away everything all the time. And then I get even better ideas. And then people want to
Hmm.
come pay me for even better ideas. And then I give that away. And then I have even better ideas
Yeah.
because
Yes.
I don't have a sense of scarcity about it. Like, it's like there's always more where that comes from,
Hmm. Yeah.
That's the I want everyone who's like watching this, listening to this to know that for themselves. Like if you're a creative person, and I trust that if you're listening, if you're watching this, you are a creative person, you don't ever have to worry about the well running dry. You
Yeah.
know, there's infinite well. And when you come up with something really good, people are like, "Oh my God, this is the best I can come up with." No, that was just the beginning.
Yeah.
This is literally the beginning of the rest of your life's creativity. There's gonna be more, and obviously I'm not saying give everything away. Some things you do want to sell, but
Right.
come when you show up with this kind of abundant attitude, people can smell. It's like me going to Rashida's house and she's got cake and she's got pie, she's got cookies, she's got Danish. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to Rashida's house all the time, right? That's the
Right.
abundant party that we want to go to, and that's what you want your business to be like.
Yeah. And that's what you were talking about before in treating people the way you want to be treated in business. If you want to trust the people that you are serving, you have to first trust them,
Yep, yep.
right?
I think you're gonna say you have to first trust yourself, but both.
Touche. Yep, that too.
Yeah,
Yep. You have to trust yourself that you know that that well isn't going to run dry, but you can't expect to have a long-lasting relationship with someone if it's built on dishonesty, if it's built on
exactly. That
like,
is such a basic thing that I don't know why
mhm,
it goes over everybody's heads. And so many business teachers in quotes out there teach business in quotes while
mhm,
completely ignoring the fact that they're teaching people to build systems and businesses on the foundation of distrust and dishonesty, right? Like here,
yeah,
like you know, dangle this shiny pink sparkly bait, and then
hmm,
because you don't trust them, they don't trust you, and this is the only way you can do this thing.
yeah. It just isn't sustainable. It just
If
isn't.
this is the foundation, if that's the beginning of your relationship, you're fucked.
Yeah, yeah. That's if you start any relationship based on a lie or based on any sort of falsehood, you're fucked. It's not going to last. It isn't
Easiest
sustainable.
analogy that people can understand is like, imagine like if you're looking to meet a partner and you had a dating profile and
Hmm.
you just made it, you just wanted to make it easier for people to want to ask you out on a date based on your dating profile,
Hmm.
and you put something that was just like the equivalent of that shiny pink plastic bait,
Hmm.
how would
Hmm.
that go? It would be a
Right.
disaster. Once
It's
they ask
catfishing.
me, hey,
Yeah.
fishing, yeah, fishing
Yeah.
analogies. Okay. Yeah, exactly. If
Yeah.
if your goal is to get as many people asking you out on a date as possible, great. Like, okay, I got 1,000 men asking me out on a date because this evening because either like I this provocative
Picture.
photo, whatever,
Right.
great.
Right.
But then if you actually want to meet someone who clicks with you and have a good time and build something from there, then you gotta do the opposite of
Right.
a shiny pink plastic babe. You gotta show them who you are and then
Yeah.
talk honestly about the kind of person that you want to hang out with. And it's exactly the same in business. And
Mhm.
so we're like, okay, we seems like we've got veered away from the topic of allyship, but we haven't, because what we're talking about is the courage to be yourself, the
Yeah.
courage to trust yourself and trust the other person and have this baseline of respect.
Mm.
And whatever relationship we're going to have, it's going to be based on me treating you like a human being and you treating me like a human being and trusting that reciprocity. And that is allyship.
Yeah. 100%. I want to tell you this story that they told me at my daughter's school that kind of goes with your creativity. What you were talking about with your creativity being in an endless well and not being able to grow if you suffocate it. So they tell us the story about this society that I don't know who tried to start in this like bubble, right? It was like this glass bubble or something. And in that glass bubble, they put small trees that they thought, would eventually grow. They would water it. The sun's coming in. It should be fine, right? And what they found is those trees didn't grow.
Huh.
And they didn't grow because there was no wind. There's
That's
nothing pushing against it to make it strong. They just would fall over. They didn't
mm,
have that push and pull, that relationship with its environment in order to grow and flourish.
let That's so good. Like, if you have a business, you have to share your best ideas with people and let those ideas interact with people and have that wind blow through them and push
Yeah.
and pull. And then that is that's like the best marketing advice. That's beautiful.
Isn't it a
I
great
didn't
story?
I thought trees just needed sunlight and oxygen. I guess not.
That's what they thought too. But apparently, in order to grow strong roots, there needs to be wind. There needs to be,
But
yeah, to make them strong. Isn't that cool?
that just I think nature is so beautiful and like better than like us because
Yeah.
even though we are part of nature, because we think that we know what's happening, but at any point there's like 1,000 invisible things also happening
Yeah.
that make certain things happen. And so which is why we can break things down into systems and think that we know what we're doing with our strategies, but also there's like a million other invisible variables. Like
Right.
that's how nature works. Like we can't see wind, but it's making trees grow, you know?
Right. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So if someone were to want to make true effort in allyship in their business, but they're afraid, what would you say?
I think, well, let me know if you agree.
Okay.
I think you probably would. I think true the allyship step one, it has to begin with you have to like ally for yourself first, right? And then you have to be an
Mhm.
ally to yourself.
Yeah.
You have to be an ally for the parts of you that are scared, parts of you that have been wounded from the past. You you've been criticized in the past, and maybe you've internalized some kind of bullying voice from the outside that says you're not good enough, or if you mess up you're a bad person. Like, you have to be an ally to yourself first, right?
Yes.
um so you can't do shit for other people. Actually, I remember you saying exactly this, so you probably do agree with me. But if you're not an ally to other people, I mean, if you can't be an ally to yourself, how are you going to be an ally to other people,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So if you know how to have your own back and how to forgive the parts of you that have messed up and how to be compassionate towards yourself, and how to advocate for yourself, not as being better than other people, but as a human being that is worthy of love and respect and belonging,
Hmm.
then that kind of takes away the question of like, what if I go out there and do something wrong? Or what if I make a
Hmm.
mistake out there with other people? Because then, um, nothing, then you just learn,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think also when you have a really strong foundation of like being an ally to yourself, having your own back and being compassionate towards yourself, I think that kind of puts you in a state where you can get curious about other people, right? When you're really mean to yourself,
You
it's
don't
kind of hard to,
have, yeah, you don't have empathy for other people
yeah,
because you
because
can't
you're
find it for yourself.
busy having drama inside of your head,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So your
Hmm.
capacity, really well put, Rashida, like your capacity for true empathy for other people. Because like, listen, like when you're really mean to yourself, even when you think you're being empathetic towards other people, it often like isn't real empathy. It's often like pity or
Right.
like savior
Charity. Yep.
charity.
Savior.
It's
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
because if you if there's like an internal hierarchy within yourself where this version of me is good, this part of me is worthy, but this other part of me is shitty and unworthy and bad, and I'm gonna
Hmm.
push that part of me, you're
Hmm.
gonna project that entire like view of yourself out into the world. And so when you see people who are different, you're gonna be like, that's bad and a unworthy way of being. And even when you extend a hand out to help, it's not going to feel like allyship. It's going to feel like saviorism and charity, which is not
No one
allyship.
wants that. No one likes to receive anything with that energy. It's yucky.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's even in business, if your energy behind it is charity or pity or I'm just gonna throw this thing away because it's not important to me anymore. That energy permeates and funks up everything that you are trying to do that may seem good, but isn't going to be received well because it's not coming from a place of relating to you as a human.
Yeah. But let's go right into like an example. Like I'm a person who like exists in this fucked up world, and so I have internalized racism, right? I
Hmm.
own that. I have internalized racism, I have internalized colorism, and I catch myself all the time. And so when I look at that part of me that like doesn't like darker skinned people, because
Hmm.
I like breathe all the colorism in the world, right?
Hmm.
And my response is, oh, you're terrible. You need to like die. I hate you, right? That
How's that
is
helpful?
it's not helpful, and
Mhm.
that is a way of relating that I'm going to carry out into the world.
Yeah.
So instead, I get to talk to it differently. It's like, oh, you picked that up from somewhere. That's not who we are, right? It's
Hmm.
okay that you have those thoughts, and it's human. It's human.
Hmm.
When I say it's okay, I don't mean it's okay. It's not okay, but also it's human. So
Yeah.
you get to be forgiven, and we're gonna work together, right? And then
Yeah.
I extend understanding and empathy to that part of me, or that to the hateful part of me, to the violent part of me, and then there's not like a war of hierarchy going on inside of me, right?
Right.
And
Because the whole of you is worthy.
whole of me is a word. Not every part of me is equally valid or right or just, but I'm a flawed human. Everyone's a flawed human. We
Yeah.
exist in a flawed world, and all of me gets to belong.
Yep.
And there's flawed, fucked up people out there too. And guess what? They belong too.
Hmm.
You know, you don't have
Yeah.
to like be best friends with them, but they belong.
Yeah.
And so, kind of changing your orientation around like how you talk to yourself, how you relate to yourself, that is, I think, honestly, probably the biggest work that people a lot of people should start with.
I agree. I agree. I feel like allyship is always an inside job first. It's
Yeah.
always an inside job first because when we do our unhealed stuff out on everybody else, Nobody, we are all also trying to heal. We don't need your unhealed stuff. Please heal your stuff before you try to bring it to me. And thank you very much. Right?
And another thing about allyship in business that people think that it has to be like these big actions like sliding scale pricing or things like that, which don't get me wrong could be great, but I think it's so much more of it in these like small day-to-day interactions, right? With
Hmm.
the way that you talk to people, the way you regard people,
Yeah.
like who do you choose to who do you choose to follow? Like whose ideas do you consume? And like what
Mhm.
kind of like what kind of language are you using and where is that language coming from?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like um so much of like what I was learning and what was like filtering my worldview changed when I like stopped following white people.
Yep.
And started following everybody else, which is like the
Hmm.
most of the world. And
Hmm.
then, um, and then like
Mostly
what
because we are getting the white message everywhere. It's not like
exactly,
we need to
exactly.
continue to get the white message. Like it is the main message.
It's kind of
Hearing
like
it from other people opens our world a
I
little.
live in an apartment building with 19 floors, I think. And
Hmm.
imagine if like everyone in this building got like were like broadcasted like conversations from the Soul family, you know? Like,
Yeah.
like, like okay, that, but it's kind of
Right,
like that
right.
with white people. And so,
Yeah.
who is influencing my thinking? Who is influencing my creativity? What is my language and thinking being shaped by? And how does that influence the way I talk to the people that I market to? How does
Mhm.
that influence what I create? Like that is, I feel like, way more where allyship is important, sometimes like a lot more than like the externally visible actions like that people often think about, like pricing or or
Mhm.
like hire a BIPOC person. Like, yeah, obviously cool,
Yeah.
but that's easy. That's like I feel like
Right.
more inner work. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. And I want to say this, especially for people who have followed you or who just started following you. Um, I've been in your world and in your realm for many years now, and I was a part of your world, and I don't want you to get weird. I don't want you to be like, Rashida, but I'm gonna toot your horn for a second, okay? I was in Simone's world before she made her first $1 million. I was in her world when she was, still doing, I think you were still doing one-on-one coaching
I
when
think
I
yeah.
was in your world. And she was still giving stuff away. There was still a level of allyship, whether that's what you were calling it at that time or not. There was still a level of allyship. And the reason I bring that up is because a lot of people, especially when they are following you now, after you've had some years of financial success and all the other success too, because you're a fucking badass, brilliant, amazing person. But they're like, oh yeah, well, Simone can talk about that now because of how much money she makes now. And I always want to be like, but this is what she's always said. This is how she's always been talking. Like it really has not, it's not, oh, money isn't important. It isn't important now because I
That's
make
how
this.
I made money. Like, how do you
Exactly.
me
Yes.
talking to everybody's how why do you think enough people paid me money that I made $1 million? Not that that makes me better than people who make whatever amount
Right.
of money, but it just
Right.
happened because I, I was helping people because I loved helping people, not because I was
A
baiting them
million
into
dollars was your
sales.
goal. Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I was like, how can I provide $1 million worth of help? I might have not been thinking in terms of those
Right.
exact terms, but I just always loved helping people, and I feel like so should you if you're a fucking coach,
Yeah.
help
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. What is
And when you're
actually the point if you're not
helping
helping people?
exactly. So this is
Yeah.
it makes head explode when coaches get advice like, don't give actual value, just hint at it so they'll want to buy. Like, it's
Hmm.
not only dumb as fuck, it's also
Hmm.
like it sets your whole business like foundation on the entirely wrong foot.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. So I just wanted to make sure that the point is made that it isn't you're not you can decide what level of allyship you feel comfortable with in your business, Simone. Oh,
Oh,
okay, there you are. You were frozen for a second on my screen. You might not
I'm
be
just
in real
no.
life. Um, you can decide what level of allyship, you're comfortable with being public about. Um, but there should always be a level of allyship, not just because you want to make money, but because it helps you connect to the people who are going to come back to you, who are going to be in relationship with you in your business. You get to you can still be an ally even if you aren't making six figures, even if you aren't making seven figures. You can still be an ally in your business.
Only way to do it. Listen, my what I'm saying doesn't apply if you want to get in, make your money, and get the fuck out in 3 years, right? Then
Right.
you can do whatever you want. You don't have to give a fuck about any of this.
Yeah.
But if you actually like the work you're doing and you
Hmm.
want to do it for a long time, if you want longevity, allyship is the only way to do it because it's the only way to build long lasting, sustainable human relationships and community,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
It's the only way to do it. Like whether you have, a $30,000 business or an $80,000 business or whatever, the number doesn't matter. And the thing is,
Right.
even if you have a whatever 8-figure business, if it's not based on allyship, it is either going to crash and burn at some point, or to maintain that size, you are just going to be doing deeply unethical things, just increasingly to keep that going,
Yeah.
right? It's the
Yeah.
only way to do it. And over the past couple of years, um I I I downsized my business because I felt like, to me, that was the best way to ensure the longevity and sustainability of my business, because I wanted to prioritize the relationships above all, the
Yeah.
relationship between me and my creativity, and the trust that I wanted to cultivate with the people who really, really wanted to go to the same places that I wanted to go to, who really, really shared my core values. And that wasn't everybody in my world,
Yeah.
right?
That's
And
right.
if that means less people and slower, less money, fine,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
And I also want to say that I'm in a very privileged position where I can make that choice and not worry about putting food on the table. But the point is that size of your business doesn't matter. This is the only way to do it. If you want to
Right.
do it for longer than 3 years, 5 years, and you want people to be around and you want to enjoy your work.
Yeah.
We're social animals. We're built to connect to each other,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. And and the way that you got to that privileged place is that you were being an ally.
I
So if
not very imperfectly, to be sure, but from day one, I don't know how else to do it.
yeah,
I
but also
don't like
allyship is doing
like
it imperfectly and
true,
loud.
true, true,
Doing
true.
it loud and imperfectly in front of other people is an integral part of the journey
But do
because
you know how, actually, that reminds, you know how I got better at it over the years?
wow.
You That just made me think I got I became a better ally. I
Mm-hmm.
know that because I now am able to take bigger risks,
Hmm.
and I am able to better see my own biases and to admit where I fucked up. And I
Hmm.
think I have more courage in able to, in terms of being able to make amends and to give more of myself to benefit others. And the
Hmm.
entire reason for that is that I got better at forgiving myself,
Hmm.
and I got better at loving myself.
Yeah. And would you say, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but would
Yeah.
you say that inside of that journey, you became more confident in the person that you are so that if people did push back against what you said, you had the ability to be like, okay, I'll think about that more, or no, you can be mad. this
No,
is how I
exactly.
actually
That's
feel.
what I mean. It's going in, like, okay, some people don't like me. It's okay. I can forgive myself for not being likable to everyone. I still
Hmm.
like me. And like it's that confidence, not confidence like I'm better than other people, but confidence like I believe that I am worthy
Yeah.
and that it's okay for me to be here and do my work. And
Hmm.
so that when I get pushed back or when I get called out, it's not, oh my God, like something horrible has gone wrong. It's more like, okay, what this is an opportunity for me to learn, right?
Right.
And then so it becomes it becomes an opening for a deeper relationship
Hmm.
rather than me on trial,
Right.
right?
Right.
And that's why the inner work is everything. And I really it didn't get to reflect on this until now, but how I really do think I've become a better ally. Still not perfect, and like you said, yeah, none of us is perfect,
Hmm.
but I know that because I have that sort of inner scaffolding, I trust myself to continue to do the work.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's because in allyship the pushback and the questioning is where people pause and almost sort of retreat from their ally work. Um, it's why I emphasize so much that that is how you know you're doing a good job. When you're
Yeah,
ruffling feathers, when people are pushing back on what you have to say, that's how you know that you're in the work. But also, it's going to sting no matter how far you are along on your ally journey, no matter how evolved you feel, it's gonna sting, but also it is like you said, an opportunity to go deeper.
yeah,
And if you do it enough, you can trust yourself to be, because there have been plenty of times that I've been criticized that I've been like, let me take a step back and let me think about this. But then there have been other times where I've been like, no, I meant what I said. What
yeah,
what you're saying is from a place that has nothing to do with me. And so I hope you have a good journey there, but I'm not going to take back what I just said.
yeah,
I thought really hard about what I said. So I'm cool. I know what I'm talking about, you know. But
exactly.
that sort of confidence doesn't come from retreating and saying, you know what, never mind.
Exactly. I think a lot of people don't get to that point where they can say, "No, I meant what I said." Right?
Hmm.
Because it's the instinct is really strong to like appease the other person, to
Hmm.
make ourselves wrong, and you have to get to a place where you can actually stand on your own truth and be sturdy there,
Yeah.
right?
And so
And
your marketing is going to reflect that, right?
exactly, marketing and allyship, right?
Yeah.
If you challenge your racist uncle and your racist uncle says blah 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 back at you,
Hmm.
if you're for you to get to a place where you're not going to be like, okay, sorry,
Yeah.
you're gonna
Right.
talk back to your racist uncle. It takes an inner strength, right?
It does.
That's the work. That's the work.
That is the
And
work.
what I love about how you teach this is that you you really hold people in a space where not only can they learn about kind of the more theoretical parts of allyship, but they can really heal themselves in your presence, right? And they can really like develop, they can really nurture themselves into strength. And as I told you many times, I think that's one of your many geniuses.
Thank
There really is a soft, nurturing side to allyship, to that journey that you get to go on, because,
you.
like you said, this is hard, and for you to develop that strong inner ground to stand on, some
Hmm.
parts of you might need to heal first, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It has
And healing
parts of you
requires
have
love
to heal first. Yeah.
and softness and gentleness, and of course the opposite is true too. Sometimes
Yeah.
tough love is in order, but
And we
yeah,
can flip both. We can go to one or the other. We have
yeah,
that ability. When you made the decision, because like I said, as long as I've known you, for as many years as I've known you, you have always done allyship, whether that's what you called it or not. But there came a point in your particular business where you vocally made being an ally important in your business. What do you think made that sort of switch of I'm doing it to saying, hey, guess what? This is important. Why did you feel like it was important to say it out loud?
It's a really good question. Um, I wanted everyone who wasn't really excited about that being front and center to get the fuck out of my world.
And I am so glad you said that because people in business can't wrap their brain around selectively, like consciously taking folks out of their world, taking potential money sources out of their world on
But I'll,
purpose.
but I'll tell you why, because they were leeching the joy out of my business and me doing my work.
Hmm.
Because for a while I was like in this rut of like, I think I want to stop business coaching. This is not fun for me anymore. And it was like
Hmm.
hard for me because I used to love business coaching. It was like my
Hmm.
passion. I loved it. And so at some point I was like, I hate this. I don't like to do this anymore. And after a while, upon reflection, it what I realized is that it's not that I don't like business coaching. I don't like business coaching people who don't give a shit about this stuff,
Hmm.
for whom business is not about community care, for whom allyship is optional and social
Yeah.
justice is like an afterthought. Like once I make my money and then I'll maybe give $10 and then I'll tell
Hmm.
everybody what a good person I am, right?
Yeah.
Like it's those people, and they're not necessarily like all like evil people. Some of them are just like so deep in their scarcity programming that they don't see that that's what's,
And it's
you
like an
know.
energy suck.
And it was a drag to coach them. I hated it. I was like, if I keep going down this road, I'm gonna explode my business because I hate this,
Hmm.
and so I had to make a pivot. Like I don't want to tell people you gotta leave, but I'm gonna make it so that it's
It's
gonna be
uncomfortable.
real unpleasant for you if
Hmm.
your reaction to allyship first in business isn't anything other than, oh my God, I love this. This
Hmm.
is what I've been waiting for. And
Hmm.
so I don't know if it's perfect yet, but I think I've done a pretty good job. And for the most part, people are happy when I talk about this stuff. People are happy when I call out racism. People are happy when I talk about liberation
Yeah.
and everything I'm learning along the path, because I'm not an expert. I speak as a student and a journeyer. And so
But
when
what a beautiful example that you're setting for the people in your community. It's a beautiful example because they're seeing you do it in real time, and it is giving inspiration and courage for them to be able to do it too.
I mean, don't get me, I love money. Like if the more people want to give me more money, that's great. But
Right. Right.
when you stop enjoying your work, this goes for lots of people, right? For you could experience it at some point. You got to examine like something is off.
Yep.
And when you know what's off and you know how to fix it, you got to be brave enough to fix it. If it means less money for the foreseeable future, it might not always be that way, or it might always be that way, but then
Hmm.
I'd rather I make less money for the rest of my life and enjoy my work than make $1 bazillion and hate
Be
my work.
miserable. Hmm.
Exactly. What's the
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah. I mean, and I guess that's a personal choice. If you want, if you're okay being miserable, then I guess
No,
there's ways
I
to do
don't think
it.
it is, because if you're miserable, that means probably some kind of relationship is funky in your world, right?
Yeah.
And it means you're not tending to it, and what you don't tend
Yeah.
to festers, and that's gonna and when you
That's
don't
so
tend to it,
real.
and that's gonna get in the way of your allyship.
Yeah.
So I actually don't think it's okay. Like you gotta
No,
fix that
you're
shit.
right. You're right. You are absolutely right. Yeah, it's like if you have a cut or something and you
Yeah.
don't tend to it and it gets sick, like you're eventually going to have to go to the hospital. You might lose a limb. Like it isn't going to be okay at some point. You're
And
going to
also
have
like
to.
why do we have like an imperialist capitalist world is because of like very scared wounded white men who are miserable.
Yeah.
Like that's literally what they were, like so scared of life and they were so miserable that they had to go and like do horrible things to other people to feel okay.
Yeah.
Like that's really bad. So if you feel
Yeah.
miserable, you should do something about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Don't create another capitalism. Just heal
Exactly.
yourself. Okay, one more question.
Okay.
What if someone is wanting to be more vocal about their allyship in their business? What is a step that they can take today?
Say something about, talks about something you believe in. It could be like one thing, right? That kind of scares you to say out loud,
Hmm.
right? And it doesn't even have to be like, I believe this principle. It can be something more vulnerable, like I'm really frightened about what's happening to about what's happening to reproductive rights in the US,
Hmm.
right? Like that could be something that's scary for you to say.
Hmm.
I want you to practice saying it.
Yeah.
um or here's what I believe about trans rights, or or whatever. I say something you believe, but make sure that it feels a little edgy for you.
Hmm.
That is a really good one single step you can take towards being a better ally.
I love that.
You don't have to do dramatic, you don't have to save the world, as Rishita says, take your superhero cape off.
Yes.
You have to fix democracy, but you can say something that lets other people know where you are, where
Yeah.
you're at, and
Yeah.
that matters.
That absolutely matters. And for me, it lets people, the right people know, like if it's like the sign outside of my storefront, right?
Yeah,
Like people know that they want to come into this store because this is what I'm selling. But
yeah,
if they walk up to my window and they're like, "Oh, I don't like those things." Oh, well, cool, you shouldn't come in.
exactly.
Because when you're in here, this is what I'm selling, right? And so doing that allows people to know, even if you're not selling allyship, if you're selling, whatever, people will be like, ooh, but I'm also safe in that space.
If I go to a new neighborhood and I'm looking for a coffee shop, like I'm definitely going to the coffee shop that has like the rainbow sticker on it. Like if there's identical coffee shops and only one of them has a rainbow sticker, I'm going to
You
the one
go
with
in
the
the
rainbow.
rainbow thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And if they aren't acting like allies, I'm going to call them out on that shit. Um, you need to
yeah,
take
you
that
can't.
thing out the window until you act right.
Yeah, you got to live up to your stickers.
Yes, absolutely. Simone, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It feels
This
like
is so
talking to you
good.
feels like therapy every time. I don't know why.
I feel like we could do this for a lot longer.
Pick up where
We
we
could,
left off another time.
yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. In the subject or whatever is below here, you will see all of Simone's contact stuff. She is amazing. Follow her immediately. She has some really cool stuff that has just dropped, and you need to be a part of that. And everything that she's doing. So be a part of that, and links will be where links normally are. You know how I am about technology. You'll
Thank you,
kind of
Rishi.
like, thank you, honey.
And whatever you say, whatever you need from me anytime, I'm there.
Thank you. I love you so deep. Thank you all for coming and watching. Hopefully you can build allyship into your business. This is just the beginning, so come back. We'll talk more later. Bye.